With this video we're going to conclude the knight b6 variation and take a look at the main line queen e6. As I've mentioned in the previous video, the idea behind this move is quite clear. Black wants to develop the bishop on the big diagonal f8, a3, and the queen herself stands quite well on e6. In this position, there are lots of options, lots of moves, and the main theory goes queen e4. But this is not the move I want to recommend, just because I'm not scared of many moves, many options. I just think that here Black has many lines where he stands completely fine. And one of the easiest main line I find quite annoying for White is g6. I find it annoying because Black has easy development and then has pressure on e5 pawn. Remember I was telling you, we should not allow Black to develop easily and then have pressure on e5 pawn. We should do something in the center. Exactly in this position, I think that it's very easy for Black. g6, bishop d3. Let's say bishop d2 can be met with bishop a6, or bishop d3, bishop g7, f4. Castle is possible, but it's not very ambitious because Black can even take the pawn on e5 with bishop e5. Obviously not queen e5 because it loses a bishop on e5 after rook e1, d6 and f4. But after castle, bishop e5 is possible, rook e1 and bishop c3, b takes c3, though I think that White has compensation in this position, so I would like to play castle and castle after White castles. And here, if White plays f4, then we would transpose to the main line. But if, let's say, rook e1, then Black has two powerful breakthroughs in the center. One is d5, and another one is f5, which I like more. E takes f6, queen takes f6, and now we have a problem to defend the f2 pawn. We should play rook e2, because bishop e3 would lose a piece after again powerful breakthrough d5, and cd5 would not work because of bishop f5. And we don't have queen f3 to defend the d3 bishop, so we're losing a piece. Let's see bishop g7, f4, castle, castle, bishop a6. Easy, very easy for Black. Developed and has some pressure on c4 pawn or e5 pawn. We have to play b3. c5 would not be that great, because after bishop d3, queen d3, knight d5, there is no more bad piece on b6. And after knight d5, we have to take the knight on d5. Black can take with c d5, and I don't think White has anything special in this position. Bishop a6, b3. If we want to keep the tension, we have to play b3. And d5. Once again, very easy breakthrough in the center. C takes d5. Obviously, e takes d5, e takes d6 is bad because the knight is hanging on c3. So after d5, cd5, cd5, queen e2, bishop d3, and queen d3. Now Black has another annoying move, which is f6. Yeah, it is true. If Black allows White to consolidate, then my pawn on e5 would be very powerful. But of course, he plays f6 to break the center and open up diagonals for his pieces. Knight b5. E takes f6 would be a bad move, just a bad move, because after queen f6, the knight is hanging and bishop b2 would not help that much, as Black can simply exchange the queens with queen d4, bishop d4, king h1, and play c5. This is a powerful hanging pawns in the center, and it's not ideal that we have the pawn on f4. So after knight b5, we want to create some threats on c7. Black has f takes e5. Black completely ignores the threat of knight c7. Yeah, you can take it. Knight c7, queen e7, knight a8. There we go. We won the exchange, but these pawns can be very dangerous because now Black doesn't take on a8, but plays intermediate move e4. The rook is hanging as well. The queen is hanging. So we have to go queen b1 if we don't want to lose the rook on a1 so easily. And after rook a8, bishop d2, of course, is forced to play. d4, I like this position for Black. Just because, okay, yeah, we have exchange, but I am very, very afraid of these pawns d4 and e4. Also, knight will become a very powerful piece. Knight d5, f4 does not help at all because we would like to have our pawn on f2, not on f4. Now e3 square is weak and the pawns are supported by the pieces. Bishop supports the pawn on d4, queen is there for e4 pawn, and there is no clear plan for white. White has to be here very, very careful not to lose the, not to give the initiative to Black. I really think that I would prefer to play this position with Black pieces. This is the main reason I am not a big fan of queen e4, but if you like this position for white, then of course you should take a deeper look, and it's fine for white, it's not losing. It's just about taste that I like some initiative even if it costs us an exchange. Okay, so after queen e6, I like to go bishop d2. And this is a nice developing, interesting move. We'd like to castle longside. That's why Black is going bishop a6, provocating b3, and bishop a3. This is a very strong move from Black side, not allowing white to castle longside. For example, if bishop e7 and long castle, this would be very nice for white. Afterwards, we would go queen e4, f4, and this is the positions we already had ideas in the previous videos. If after b3, bishop c5, we have to go f4, castle, and now knight e4. With tempo, knight on e4 stands very nice, and after bishop e7, we want to develop our bishop as well and wait where do we want to castle, on long side or short side. That's why we play queen f3, and I consider that this position is quite pleasant for white. Bishop d3 can be idea, and we have to decide between short castle or long castle. Both I think would be completely fine. That's why after b3, bishop a3 is very strong. And here there is a very, I don't even know how to call it, interesting, not dubious, I don't know, dubiously interesting, I don't know. King d1. This is an option, very confusing one. You need to be quite cold-blooded to play this move. But the idea is clear. Okay, Black did not let white to castle, but white anyway goes to queen side. king d1, castle, and king c2. This is very interesting, and if you put on the engine here, don't get scared. It's not like I missed something and I am recommending a very bad move. You will see an evaluation first on -1, then -0.30, and then it drops to zeros. The idea is clear. We want to get f4, queen f3, bishop d3, rook e1. We want to expand on the king side and create some attacking chances on the king side, while our king on c2 for now is quite safe. This position needs a lot more deeper look, a lot more analysis if you're going to play. This is just an idea I wanted to let you know. But on bishop a3, main move goes, of course, f4, castle, and queen h5. Not queen f3, but more aggressive queen h5. This, here black can have two options, which I think both lead to very complicated playable positions. And once again, it's about the taste, who likes which color. I would like to play with white pieces, and I think that it's much more complex, sharp, and complicated position rather than we get in queen e4 lines. g6 or f5. f5 looks more powerful because it blocks the advance of the pawns. Bishop d3, we have to play. d6, again, pressure on the e5 pawn. Castle, d takes e5, and queen h3. I like this position. We sacrificed the pawn temporarily on e5 because e4 is not possible. There is a nice pin on h3 c8 diagonal. After e4, just knight e4, and white wins this pawn back. And if not e4, after queen h3, the ideas are very nice. Rook e1, again a pressure on e5. Rook d8 would not give black anything because it's not hanging these bishops. Queen is very nice, defending the d3 bishop, and as well taking care of this diagonal, h3 c8 diagonal. We can take on e5 and queen e5 here. We can just simply take the pawn on f5 because there is a big threat on h7. Rook d2 doesn't work. g6 would not be great as well because we have a check. And yeah, if bishop f5, h6 is possible, but definitely here white's position is more preferable than black. This is why I think that here white has lots of chances for grabbing the initiative, and from the optically it looks much nicer for white rather than black. So after queen h5, g6, queen h6, black has to do something not to get easy attack from white side. f6, bishop d3, f takes, and once again castle. I know that in every line I am recommending you to sacrifice this e5 pawn, but the idea is clear that we are getting lots of compensation for it. We are ahead in development. The king is quite weak for black, and we have already quite important pieces on the king side. For example, if black plays here queen d6, queen h3 would be nice to drop back this queen. E takes f4, knight e4. Now knight heads to g5. Queen d4 check, king h1, and f3. This is a very strong move because now d3 bishop is hanging, we have to go bishop c2. There is no time to take the pawn because this guy is hanging here as well. So rook f3 will not work because of queen a1. That's why after bishop c2, we have to play bishop c2, queen b2, and of course we ignore that the bishop is hanging on c2. We play knight g5. There is a big threat of mate on h7. Only move is h5, and after rook ac1, queen g7, very strong, g takes f3. Now it's time to take. You might think that, okay, why I don't take this pawn on g2 if g takes f3 is very good for white afterwards. But then queen would go to g2, and this file would be quite annoying for black. Let's say queen g7, I would play rook ce1, and still rook e8 would not help, because after rook e8 we have bishop c3, very powerful move. What happens on queen c3? Knight e4. We don't take the pawn on g6, but we go knight e4 with the idea of knight f6, queen g6, and black has to take this knight, and we will just mate black here with bishop e4. We want to give a mate. Queen g7 is the only move, and after queen e8, bishop has to drop, then it would lose the bishop, so queen g8, queen h5, king g7, and a beautiful mate is coming with this maneuver. So you can see that it can be very dangerous for black if he gets greedy and grabs everything. It does not seem that dangerous attack, because our pieces are not directly looking at the king side, but let's say queen g7 and g takes f3, sacrificing this rook on c1, bishop c1 and rook c1. It is very good position for white. First, even computer does not realize that it is great for white, but if you give him time, after some minutes, 5 or so, you will get a very nice +1.5, +2 evaluation. So this is completely winning for white. Of course, this was an example line how things can go wrong for black with the logical moves. But what I'm trying to say is that this bishop d2 gives much more lively positions to white, much more sharp and complicated options rather than queen e4, which makes us to like bishop d2. And I would go through the key moments in this line: bishop a6, b3, bishop a3. Here king d1 can be analyzed deeper, but let's go for f4, castle, and queen h5. More aggressive play, not queen f3, queen bishop d3, but queen h5, provocating either g6 or f5. And after g6, queen h6, bishop d3. Very important to sacrifice this pawn. Bishop f takes e5 and castle. I am in for this position. I like this position. I hope you also do. So I wish you best of luck with this position if you get it in the games. And in next videos we will take a look at the very popular, the first choice on the Scotch, bishop a6 instead of knight b6. Stay tuned. See you soon.